everyone, and welcome to UMS Performance Playground. My name is Brittany DeYoung, and I am a UMS teaching artist, professional harpist, and harp teacher. I became interested in playing the harp when I was very young. I loved seeing the harp glittering on stage when I would go to concerts. My entire family was musical, and when I was 8 years old, I was allowed to pick an instrument that I could learn for myself. I told my mom that I really wanted to play the harp, and after a little bit of research, she found out that harps are really big and really expensive. She told me no. After months of pleading, eventually she said yes, and I have been a harpist ever since. There are lots of things to learn about the harp, and if you would like to know more, be sure to check out the Google Slides that come with this video. Here are 3 things you should know about the harp for today. Number 1, harps can come in many shapes and sizes and colors. Number 2, all harps have strings that produce sound when plucked. Number 3, the harp can do so much more than just play the iconic glissando, a sound you may have heard in movies. Often when we think of the harp, we think of angels and beautiful heavenly sounds. However, the harp has a very unique history. It is one of the oldest instruments in the entire world, and it began as a very small instrument that you would carry with you and play while it rested on your lap. With me today are 3 classical harps. I have 1 lever harp and 2 pedal harps. Let's take a closer look at the different types of harps. Both types of harps have an awful lot of strings. Each string is tuned to one of the notes of the scale. If you look closely, you'll see that there are 3 colors of strings. We have red strings, black strings, and white strings. The colors help me know which notes I am playing. You'll also see that all harps have a similar shape and structure. More or less, they're a triangle, upside down. They all have a body of the harp, a soundboard, a column, and a neck. We play the harp with the pads of our fingers, and we pull or pluck the strings individually or as chords. As many of you may know, the orchestra is made up of several different families of instruments. While the harp has 47 strings, we are not considered a string instrument because we don't use a bow when we play. We typically sit in the back of the orchestra with the percussion instruments. But we're also not a percussion instrument because percussion instruments hit or strike their instruments to make sound. Harpists like to experiment with other ways to play the harp. Listen closely and see if you can hear the differences in sound as I tell you about some of the different ways that we can play the harp. One thing we can do is instead of playing in the middle of the string, we can slide all the way down to the bottom of the string and play to create a guitar-like effect, what we call près de la table. We can also play harmonics, or we could play with our fingernails to make it sound a little sharp. There are lots of other things we can do with the harp as well. We can tap on the harp, or do my favorite, pedal slides. Let's play a little game. Glissandos on the harp can go up or can go down. While you're listening, if you hear a glissando go up, go ahead and stand up. If you hear a glissando moving down, sit down. And see if you can catch up and stay along with me. Let's give it a little try. Here's an easy one for you. Were you able to follow along? Great. Are you ready for something harder? How did you do? Be sure to check out the Google Slides that accompany this video. Included are exercises you can do where you can write down your impressions and thoughts, worksheets that will introduce you to the parts of the harp and give you instructions to create your very own harp from things around your house. Goodbye!